Well, Deepak Chopra talked to Yahoo Finance about being financially secure throughout this pandemic. Take a listen.
I should mention that my partnership with Personal Capital is about offering people tools and free tools for financial education. Having said that, it is the responsibility of everyone right now who's in business to make sure that we feel financially secure, because financial insecurity and stress go together. Right now, we're having three pandemics actually. One is the COVID-19 pandemic. The second is the financial crisis pandemic. People don't have jobs. And also the fact that we have a culture. We have a culture here where you spend money that you haven't earned to buy things that you don't need to impress people that you don't like. And then you worry why you have all the stress. So financial stress, financial distress, absolutely insane spending habits for things that you don't need, and no education on financial security is creating the havoc that we have. People don't even, if they miss one paycheck, they can't pay their rent or they can't buy food. What kind of situation is that for the richest country in the world?
It's a good point that you bring up too, and just the amount that is spent, and probably a lot of it is like signaling to others or their perception. And I was actually having a conversation with my husband earlier. Just if you scroll through Instagram, it looks like everyone's got the nicest clothes and the nicest house. So you wonder too, like how much do you think social media contributes to this this problem?
Social media allows us to confuse ourselves with our selfie. So everybody's self-esteem is based on their selfie, and they've forgotten who they are. And that's how we impress people. You know, the statistics show that if you could move to a house, let's say you have a house that's worth $500,000, but you could tomorrow move to a house that's worth $1,000,000, but your neighbor's house is 2 million, you won't move. You want to be better than your neighbor. This is how we confuse ourselves with our selfies. So social media is actually very disruptive when it comes to financial security or any kind of security. It's security about how you look, security about how you feel, security about your relationships. This is all being sacrificed because we do not know how to talk to each other as human beings. We talk through machines and through selfies.
Do you think that's going to change? Are you hopeful that maybe people might realize this, and what can they do? Like, what are some practical things they can actually do to change these habits?
So, we started our nonprofit. I have a nonprofit called Chopra Foundation. We started a campaign called neveralone.love, www.neveralone.love. And this was because people, every 40 seconds, somebody is committing suicide in the world. It's the second most common cause of death in teenagers, which is a reflection of our parenthood skills, that our children are committing suicide. As part of this, we launched something called AI called PV, and this is an artificial intelligence machine that can detect whether you're feeling concerned about anything, or you have depression, or you might feel suicidal. And what did we find? People are more comfortable talking to a machine than to a person because they feel less, they're willing to be vulnerable to a machine. They trust the machine more than to another human being. This is the state of affairs. So what we did with PV now, she can detect suicide risk and refer you to a counselor. And we are creating our own cryptocurrency, a love in action token to pay for it, democratizing well-being through the world through no attention to special interest groups, democratizing financial well-being, physical well-being, emotional well-being, mental well-being through a grassroots campaign globally. It's the only way. We can't trust special interest groups, particularly politicians. All happen to be gangsters.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting too, and you mentioned your own kind of cryptocurrency and using
We're in the process of creating that, yes.
Yeah, and in the process of creating that, and also using this AI technology. What kind of results are you starting to see, Deepak?
We've already seen intervention in 500 attempted suicides. And that's a remarkable thing, beats any other kind of therapy. But of course, we want to work with therapists, counselors, and social workers, and frontline workers. And, lots of things are happening right now, which I think if we understand the convergence of information technologies, the new methods of transportation, creation of energy which is not dependent on fossil fuels, production of food through fermentation and stem cells. We are seeing a new era of abundance for the world if we just participate collaboratively. The future of emergence depends on maximum diversity of people, shared vision, complementing each other's strengths, open systems, feedback, and transparency. If we do that, we can create abundance for the world.
I like what you're saying there. And if you wouldn't mind, I would like to just kind of do a follow-up question and kind of double click on cryptocurrency, because we are having a bigger conversation about money, and you think about the evolution of money over the years. What do you make of cryptocurrency kind of broadly as a theme?
It's going to be part of our ecosystem, financial ecosystem. It's the only way you can localize success of businesses. So you think locally, you create wealth locally, you participate globally, but you're not bound to some special interest groups, and your businesses will thrive locally if you create your own cryptocurrencies. This is part of Buddhist economics. It's existed for 2,500 years, but now because we have AI and we have all these amazing technologies coming together as a convergence, this is the future is going to be localized abundance and affluence and global cooperation.
Mhm.
And abundance. Like right now, we're looking at almost free energy in the future. We are looking at almost free transportation in the future. We're looking at elimination of fossil fuels. We're looking at food production, which is locally with food as software through technology.
So it's like a fascinating kind of picture of the future and what that could look like. Uh, a lot of folks really admire the work you've done. You obviously have a lot of purpose and impact on people, and it would be, I think, helpful to kind of go back several years. And I did read that when you came to the U.S., you came with $20 in your pocket. And Deepak, what was the unlock for you where you were able to realize your purpose and kind of place?
Actually, I came with zero. I had to make a collect call to my hospital to pick me up from JFK. So I had zero. And I worked hard. I started, trained in medicine, trained in endocrinology, internal medicine, mind body medicine. And I just expressed my passion. That's all. And, I was like somebody singing in the bathroom and people liked the song. And so they started buying my books. And I was lucky. What can I say? It wasn't planned. I was just doing my PhD, which I define as passion, hunger, and drive.
I love that passion, hunger, and drive. And
That's PhD.
yeah, well, before we wrap up,
Huh?
the crisis has certainly brought mental health to the forefront, and I know you've been doing a lot as it relates to mindfulness and meditation, including a series with Oprah. A lot of folks I talk to, whether it's Ray Dalio, for example, they point to meditation as critical for their success. What is it about meditation and how it can help you in your life and kind of realize your potential and kind of find your success?
Meditation helps you going beyond being a biological robot. Most people act like algorithms. There's no creativity, there's no insight, there's no inspiration, there's no higher vision, there's no purpose, there's no meaning. So, meditation takes you beyond the alleys, the dark alleys of your conditioned mind to the source of the mind and unleashes creativity. That's what Ray Dalio and Paul Tudor Jones are good at. They're very smart business people, but they're also professional meditators, as you know.
Yes. Well, I should also point out you have written your 91st book, Total Meditation, and you're working on your 92nd book. So, Dr. Deepak Chopra, I thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Julia. The new book is called Abundance, the Hidden Path.
I can't wait to read it. I'm so excited. 2021, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you again, Deepak.
And that was Deepak Chopra talking with Julia LaRoche. You guys can watch that full interview on yahoofinance.com.